a wall decoration out of the phases of the moon using some supplies that you can just find hopefully around your house. So here we go. All right, so for this project, you're going to need some cardboard, and you want some thicker cardboard. You're going to need some cloth, or possibly just use paint for the part that we use the cloth. If you use the cloth, you're going to need a stapler or hot glue. You're probably going to need at least one color paint, no matter what. If you choose to paint your moon, then you can get multiple color paints or just 2 paints to choose from. You're going to need a cup or something round to trace your moon. You're also going to need some scissors that can cut cardboard, a pencil or permanent marker of some sort, and you're going to need tape, yarn or string, and then you're also going to need a hanger with this cardboard at the bottom. This is what they give you if you go to have stuff dry cleaned. This is what they hang the pants on. So you'll need this, or your other option, if you don't have that, is just to use an empty paper towel roll. All right, so we're going to start with our cardboard, and we're going to draw 6 different circles, actually 5 different circles. You can trace or freehand, so you just trace 1 circle, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I have a square, all 5 fit on it. So after you're done tracing your circles, then you're going to draw your different phases of the moon. So first we're going to start with our full moon. We're just going to leave it as is. Then we're going to draw in our waxing, and it is just cutting off a little bit of a sliver. Then we have our first quarter moon, so it's just a little, it's about half. Then we have starting with our crescents. We're going to do our waxing crescent and then just a little bit sliver of that last one. And then our new moon, which is the one you can't see, we don't really need. We're just going to represent that by letting the string hang so it's empty. All right, so then you're going to cut all of this out. Okay, so here are my phases of the moon. I have them all cut out. The next thing I'm going to do is either paint these different colors, and I would recommend painting every other one a different color. So you can use 2 colors and just do every other one a color, or you can do them all different colors, or you can keep them all the same color as well. The other way to do it is to cover them in cloth, which is what I'm going to attempt to do. So you can either paint them or cover them in cloth. So let's get started with the covering them in cloth. So I'm going to put these up here. And all you're going to do is take your cloth, and hopefully you have 2 different patterns or colors, and you're going to cut out, you're going to leave some space around it, and you're going to cut out a square is the easiest thing to do. Doesn't have to look too pretty. And then I'm going to make sure that I have this in a circle just because it's a little easier to fold around. So I'm just going to cut just a little circle-ish. All right, so here we go. Now this is the part where you can use glue or you can use a stapler. So first I'm going to try the stapler, and then I'm going to try some glue. So all you're going to do is open your stapler, and you're going to fold your cloth over, and you want to keep it nice and tight. First I'm going to like that. And this is why you also want thicker cardboard, so the staple goes through a little bit better, but doesn't go all the way through. All right, so that's how you would staple it. If I were to glue it, I would do just about the same thing. Now, if you have another type of glue, you can use another type of glue, but it'll just take a little bit longer for it to dry. So I'm gonna pull it nice and tight. And you also gotta be careful with the hot glue that it doesn't burn. So you might want to get assistance from an adult. All right, so then you can take the corners and start folding those down as well. Okay, now we still have a little bit that's sticking up. So we're going to try to glue those pieces down as well. All right, so then you're going to let that one dry and you're going to move on to the next one. Okay, so for the little crescents, you're going to have to trim a little bit more. So first thing I'm going to do is actually just do one side. I'm going to do the outside and glue that down first. And then this is where you're going to have to trim because that's a little bit too much right there. You could have rounded it to start with, but sometimes it's easier just to trim as you go. So I'm just going to trim as I go. And for the center part, I'm going to trim it just a little bit on the inside. And then I'm going to cut right here in the middle so that I can fold it around like so. All right, so then I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to glue it on top of this one. And I'm going to fold it over. Now, as you can see, there's still a little bit too much cloth, so as soon as it's kind of dry, I'm going to trim it. So here I have all of my moons. Now I'm going to work on the holder. So here I have my cardboard from a hanger. Now if you don't have this, you can always use half of a paper towel roll. And as you can see here, I cut it in half. So this is only half of it. So I'm going to roll it just a little bit more. And then I'm going to tape it or glue it so that it forms a roll very much like this. All right, so you can tape or glue. Here I have a taped one. It doesn't paint as well, depending on the type of tape you use. You could use decorative tape and just tape the whole thing, or you can keep it regular. So the next thing I'm going to do is start working on creating the holes to hang all of my different phases of the moon that I have here. All right, so you can do a nail if you happen to have a sharp nail to go through, or you could try to use a box cutter if you have one, or you can try to use some of your sharp ends of your scissors. And I'm going to try to use the sharp end of my scissors first. So you're going to take your full moon and you're going to make 2 holes on either side. Then for the next one, you're going to do 2 holes at the top and 1 hole at the bottom. There we go. Now for the next ones, you're just going to make a hole at the top and a hole at the bottom for the next 3. So 1 little hole at the top, 1 little hole at the bottom. Okay, so now I have all of my holes, except for this last one. I'm going to experiment and see if something else would work because it's kind of thin. You can poke a hole through it, but it is kind of thin. So another option, so next you're going to get your string or your yarn. And another option, if you don't have string or yarn or you want it to look a little bit fancier, you can use some chain. And it's a little heavier. So you're going to want to be able to thread this through. So I'm going to use Scotch tape and I'm going to tape off and keep this tight as I possibly can, as small as I possibly can. So first thing I'm going to do is take my string and thread it through 1 hole and pull it through. Then I'm going to go through the back and come back through. So you have to find that hole. You might have to make your holes bigger as you go. So let's come through like so. Ta-da! All right, so you're going to take this end and you're going to thread it through like that. Okay, so I've threaded it through, and I actually used a barbecue skewer to help push it through because the yarn doesn't go through as easily as other types of string would. Then I still have this attached. Alright, so I still have this attached to my ball of yarn, and I need it to go back through the other way. So I'm just going to measure a little bit, like so. I want it to hang down probably about the same. So I'm going to cut it there, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the first end. I'm going to tape up the tip. Alright, so this end is going to go back through here. So I'm going to hold on to this, and then I'm going to push it through with the barbecue skewer to the other side. Then I'm going to even it out. See, right now it's a little crooked, so I'm going to pull that side just a little bit so that it's even, like so. And then I can even these out later. Then I'm going to do the next row. Alright, for this one I'm cutting my string. So I'm measuring it out the length of my own arm. 1, 2, 3, about. If it's a little bit more or less, that's fine. Then again, I'm going to take the edges. So then, I have this hanging here. I'm going to start up at the top, and I'm going to go through on either side so these come out. So this one I'm going to do again. I'm going to start from this side. Using my barbecue skewer, I'm going to poke it through all the way to the other side. Gotta watch that one so it doesn't come. Then I'm going to take the other end and go through the other side, and I might have to even it out just a little bit more later. Pull and tug a little bit until it comes out. Alright, so now I'm going to even it up a little bit. I have my 2 strings hanging down. And I have my other 2 longer strings hanging down. And I want to make sure that these 2 are even. So I have my hanging part. I'm going to tape it down just to make my life a little bit easier. Then I have my second moon. I'm just going to put it down just a little bit lower, and I'm going to take my 2 long strings, and I'm going to go through. Through one. Then I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to go through the back. Oops, no, sorry. Go to the front with the other side. And pull it so that it is even where you want it on both sides. So there we go. Alright, so now I have my 2 strings down the middle. Like so. And what I'm going to do, I only really need one of these. So I'm going to tie these together in the back here. And I'm going to cut one of these off in just a minute. So I'm going to put one out of my way, and one is going to go straight down, and I want it to go in the back of this hole and out the front. Then I'm going to do the same thing with my next one. I'm going to go through the front. Then my last one, or second to the last one, again from the front to the back. Alright, so I have all of them except for my very, very last one, which is really, really small. So I'm actually just going to glue this one. So you can glue it, or you can try to staple it. So let's try stapling it first. staples might go all the way through. So I don't care for that look too much, but you can also try to just glue it down. And that should work. Then you can trim off the extra yarn. This doesn't need to be too long. You can even hang something heavy on the edges. Untape everything. And here you have your phases of the moon. When it hangs up against the wall, it will hang nice and flat.